We're back! Sox, A's in Sacktown. Today, in a crossover episode of Locked On White Sox and Locked On A's.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's and Locked On White Sox in a crossover episode, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host of Locked On A's, Booney. Todd Welter is your host of Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On A's and Locked On White Sox your first listen of the day. We cover the A's and White Sox every single day, breaking down games, delivering the latest team news, and giving you deep, thoughtful analysis you will not find anywhere else. If it's happening in Sacramento, Las Vegas, or in Southside, we got you covered. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. And please hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Todd, welcome back, buddy. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. How about you, Booney?
Good, man. Good, man. Thank you. So I think the last time we played, we've had a couple series. The A's got the sweep in Chicago, and then we went to Milwaukee. We lost 2 of 3. And by the time we're recording this, we play tonight against Texas in game 3 of our series. They took game 1. We took game 2. And the rubber match is tonight, which we haven't done so well. And I believe the White Sox went to Boston and got a W today in Minnesota.
Yeah, Mother Nature finally smiled on the White Sox. I don't care if it didn't go a full 9 innings. Wins have been so rare. You take wins however you can get it. I'm sure a 2023 fan, you would know that too. Be like, yeah, I don't care if it goes 7 or 6, as long as it goes past the 5 and it's an official game. You take it, and I actually give the Twins credit for actually playing that game. I mean, they could easily rain that out and said, go on to Oakland, we'll play you later in August.
So was it a mess?
Yeah, none of that. Like, the grounds crew was out there. I mean, they were hauling Diamond Dry out there the entire time in between innings that you could watch because, you know, on the television feed, they were showing it. And I found it funny. The White Sox TV announcer, Steve Stone, was like, they're hauling it one at a time. Maybe you might want to get more people to do that. So obviously that was kind of an interesting thing, but you know, they tried to get the game in, but it just persistent rain became too much, and the White Sox pick up a 3-0 victory. I'll take it. Snap a 14-game losing streak in Minnesota too.
Wow. Have the White Sox been playing better since I obviously saw them? We visited them in Chicago. Game 2 was pretty competitive. Games 1 and 3, we had the bats going. Have they? It seems like they could have easily split in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, the White Sox, obviously, on Friday, I ranked it as, you know, they got blown out on Friday, but part of it was Martin Perez, his elbow just gave out. Now, it's not a Tommy John situation, what they're saying, but it will be. He's pretty much lost for the season. By the time he's able to throw again, it might not be until late September. So they obviously get blown out there. But then on Saturday and Monday, I would consider those moral victories. You know, they fought them. They just ran out of arms on Saturday. They had to throw out Mike Vassell, who's a Rule 5 pick in, you know, pitching his hometown, 10th inning. You know, that's kind of tough. And then obviously they win on Sunday. So the issue for the White Sox has been really hitting with runners in scoring position now since we last talked. That has been a huge,
with us too.
But that's been a big time thing. Whereas Oakland, I mean, not Oakland, I'm sorry, the team that has no town, you know, what they did, you know, what they did in Chicago was they were able to hit the long ball a bunch, where the White Sox, you know, it's sporadic. You know, one of the reasons why they won today, as we're recording this, is Lenin Sosa, Miguel Vargas blasts solo shots. But in the last couple of losses that they've had, the home run ball, it's not really been there. So that's the issue. They can't hit with runners in scoring position.
We hit the home run ball in game 1 against Texas. We hit four solo bombs, but 1 of 11 with runners in scoring position. We played the White Sox. We looked good. We started hit the long ball, and then we went to Milwaukee. I was concerned about that series, and they punched us in our mouth. Severino looked great in game 2 of the series. He went 8 innings, allowed no runs, 1 strikeout, no walks, which is unlike Severino. And then they blew us out 14-1 in game 3. So we lost 1 of 3 there. And we had a nice win yesterday. Any win right these days is a nice win. We scored 4 in the first, 1 in the second, but since the second inning last night, we only had 2 hits. Game 3 tonight, we'll see how it goes. It's a big game for us. But you had a catcher come up in game 3 against us, a prospect. How's he been doing?
Edgar Caro has been as good as advertised.
Is that
right
right,
now.
huh?
Yeah, right now he has basically been spraying the ball over the field. Still hasn't hit for power yet, but I think he's just kind of getting used to what can they do. What can he do at the big league level? He's got a 333, 429, 417 slash line. And what I'm really impressed about what he's done too is he just takes what the pitchers give him. A lot of time, he's had a couple of hits where he's just flicked it into left field while batting left-handed. He's a switch hitter. He's representing the hope of better days ahead. I don't know if he's going to be a mega star, but he's definitely looking the part that he's going to be
solid catcher, right?
Yeah, very solid player, and that's kind of what you need to build up a winner. And that's kind of what I saw with the Athletics is there's a lot of good pieces there to build a winning club.
Yeah. Where's he batting in the order?
They have had him in the 5th today. And it's kind of funny. I've had him on the show a couple times. His name is Beef Loaf. He's from the 108. You might appreciate that type of nickname there. Great guy. It's a group of fans that have created this fan movement, but he had a nice pointed of the lineup. And I even talked about it on yesterday's show. White Sox fans are losing their mind over the lineup card. And part of it is there's just not much to work with. Right now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out, can Josh Pistachios even just be anything whatsoever? So they're just giving him at bats at the top of the order just to see, can he be something? Luis Robert Jr., his glove, and he's not hitting right now, but he still has the speed in the glove. You got Andrew Benintendi. He's probably your most reliable hitter, and you're still trying to figure out, can Andrew Vaughn be anything at all when it's trending no? So that's why Edgar Caro is still a little bit lower in the lineup is they're just trying to figure out what's going on with these guys up in front of them.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's funny, with the A's, going into the season, in the offseason, I was actually really high on the A's. I had them winning the West. I knew how good their roster was and their personnel was. It's even been better than I thought because my doubts as far as the season went were Tyler Soderstrom and Jacob Wilson. I thought they were going to be holes, something we didn't know, and it turns out they end up being our best players. What I have been shocked at is our inability to compete, our refusal to play hard. Lawrence Butler does not run out ground balls. Our defense is the worst in all of baseball. We play careless. It's one thing you could always expect solid out of the A's teams was that they were going to play hard because that's how the A's were designed. A lot of guys without contracts trying to make their way into baseball. You're going to have guys that are grinding and giving everything they got on a day-to-day basis. And that's the furthest thing I've seen so far. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, maybe that's the new deal that players don't run out ground balls and don't get past first base on fly balls. But I've been extremely down on J.J. Bleday and Lawrence Butler. And Lawrence Butler's producing as far as hitting-wise, but as far as effort and what they're showing and how they carry about themselves as professionals, it's been a huge, huge disappointment so far. We're 11-13. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, but we'll see what happens. But one guy I want to touch on who's gotten off to an explosive start, who had a hell of a series in Chicago, is Tyler Soderstrom. And if we can do that when we come back. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired control, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included. And you are ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV with Wi-Fi 6-6E and auto low latency mode, advanced technology. Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds you need to stay competitive. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribe services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. Already have a console? A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your games wherever you plug in. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Well, one guy that White Sox fans got introduced to in Chicago was Tyler Soderstrom in game one, went 3 for 5, hit 2 bombs, and had a decent series overall, 5 for 15. He went 5 for 14, 7 RBIs, 3 home runs, struck out only 2 times. He's an exciting prospect, Todd. I mean, we drafted him in 2000. When did we draft him?
2020.
Thank you. 20, correct. First round pick out of high school, Turlock High School. I do this thing a lot with regard to for the fans or listeners or watchers. As far as any type of prospect we have, I kind of give them a comparison of who that prospect is going to look like. And with Tyler Soderstrom, the first guy that came to mind was a Christian Yelich, right? He has those type of skills. He has the ability and power to go to all fields. He can go gap to gap with some juice. You saw the power he had in Chicago. He's the type of guy, if his ceiling will be a triple crown type of guy, a 340, a 40-something home runs, 130 RBIs, right? And we're seeing a little bit of that right now. But at the same time, as of late, he's been struggling a little bit. He's 5 for his last 28. Since that game one in Chicago, he had a rough series in Milwaukee. He had one good game, then since then hasn't done so great. His big situation from last year was a position. Didn't have really a position for him. He was drafted as a catcher, and we stuck him at first base, and he was horrible last year at first base, really trying to adjust to the position. But this year at first base, he's been incredible. And what the White Sox are going to see is another prospect we just brought up yesterday. First game yesterday. Nick Kurtz was the number 4 overall pick out of Wake Forest in 2024. So they got Nick Kurtz at first, and they're moving Soderstrom to left field now, which is he played his first career game in left field yesterday. It didn't look like it was an issue, but he didn't really get challenged with any balls either. I don't know if it's necessarily going to make us a better team because Kurtz, while he is going to be the man, there's no question. He went 1 for 4 last night in his debut with an RBI. But who we are sitting is Miguel Andujar. And Miguel Andujar right now is probably our second best hitter, if not our best hitter. Hitting 319, 2 bombs, super clutch with runners in scoring position. So, but Andujar's a left fielder. We got Rooker at DH. How this would ideally work out is if Andujar plays third base. But Andujar was, last time he played third base was with the Yankees. He was runner-up rookie of the year to Shohei Ohtani, but then he had shoulder surgery. And the fans are like, hey, just stick him at third base. I'm like, our defense is pretty bad as it is. So it should be interesting what happens and what the A's do with their lineup this weekend. That's been a big, it's been a lot of back and forth with regard who should be playing where, because you have our prospect. He really can't go anywhere else but first base. And then you have Soderstrom in left, which takes away Andahar, arguably our best hitter. And then, of course, Rooker is going to be at DH. But I like Soderstrom a lot. He has to be in the lineup every single day. As far as what he looks like, yeah, I think he has that type of potential to be that Triple Crown type of guy. He's 23 years old right now. And for a while there, when he was at his best, he's still tied for the big leagues in the lead in homers. He's top 5 in RBIs, and his batting average has dipped, right? He's at 283 right now, but for a while he's in the high 3s. So he has that type of makeup.
Well, the reason why I wanted to talk about him was after he was, crushing home runs at right field, a lot of White Sox fans were like, hey, you got Kurtz, you got Rooker, you got this maybe redundancy, maybe, maybe we might do a deal here at some point. I mean, because while the White Sox are an asset collection, a guy like Tyler Soderstrom only comes along, on the market, available rarely, and he might be, it just might be one of those things where the A's might have an abundance of riches where they might have to trade him. The White Sox need a first baseman. Andrew Vaughn has been replacement level. That's what he is. That's what he's always going to be. He's going to have a decent June and maybe a decent August. And even then, when he has those decent days, sorry, I've been battling a cold. It gets his numbers back to replacement level because that's how bad his Aprils and his Mays are and his Julys are. He's just not the guy that they envision. And what I love about what the A's did in 2020 with Soderstrom or even with Kurtz, they took Soderstrom, who was a catcher in the first round. That's what you should be doing. And if you can't work out a catcher, then you move him. With Kurtz, you take a guy who is basically a physical freak. What is he, like 6'6" or something?
6'5", 245, 6'6", probably, yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to take a first baseman that high, he better either have great genes like Prince Fielder, or he better be a physical freak like Frank Thomas, or 6'5", 6'6", or Jack Caglione, where I was even like with the White Sox, I was like, maybe because they've taken Caglione, but they were so, the owner just doesn't spend any money in pitching. That's why they took Hagen Smith. So that's why, it would be great to get a guy like Soderstrom in the White Sox system, however they could do it. I don't want to insult A's fans because they might say, hey, no way.
Well, right now we don't have a whole lot, so go ahead and insult away. They're not listening.
But even then, it's just saying, like, there is a redundancy, and the White Sox have a big need at first base, especially since they have a big need for power.
Yeah, I did it was interesting. I did a show on that in the offseason as far as Soderstrom and Kurtz, and it was called Collision Course. And usually those shows never work out in the offseason where it actually happens. But yeah, you're right. Soderstrom, I didn't expect to have this big of a start. He was terrible in spring training. He started off, he had his first at bat in spring training, base hit, RBI. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. He was like 2 for his next 30. Had 1 home run only in spring training, and it was an absolute bomb. The guy I think we're shopping right now is Andahar. The thing with the A's is they seem to only move guys when they're getting ready to be an unrestricted free agent, maybe 2 or 3 years before that. I don't know if they're going to move Soderstrom. Maybe with Vegas coming along, they need some sort of excitement, some sort of marketing, and that seems to be their big deal right now. I thought Kurtz definitely brought some excitement to the A's and what we need. But I don't know if it necessarily made us a better team. He had a huge start to in AAA, was hitting around 400, OPS 13 something, and then his last 30 at 20 something at bats, he's like 3 for 20 with a ton of Ks. He struck out 27 times. His strikeout rate's close to above 25%, which is unlike him. He's average at best as far as a defensive first baseman. Yeah, I mean, I think any deal right now, and I agree with you with what you're saying, there is a log jam at first base and with what Soderstrom's at, but what's making this conversation difficult is Miguel Andahar. What do we do with him, right? So if we get rid of Andahar, then we don't really have a log jam because now Soderstrom's in left.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, too, I mean, he's not close to being arbitration eligible. That would be the other thing that I think would be a factor, even though the A's have started to up their payroll, but that was just because they were afraid of a union grievance and losing out on the revenue share. I mean, he's still years away from even getting arbitration eligible. So I get it, but I was just wanted to talk about it because that was a big thing on Sox social media world is, hey, this guy, there's a redundancy. We could use him. We loved him because he did. He came to Chicago and absolutely mashed, and he's exactly what the White Sox need at the first base position because Andrew Vaughn he is not it. And I was actually an Andrew Vaughn truther for forever. And now he's been so bad that White Sox fans are clamoring for Tim Elko, who's in AAA. He's a former 10th round pick. You know, he's 26 years old, but he's raking. But that's what White Sox fans want because that's how bad Andrew Vaughn has been. And that's where, like, again, Tyler Soderstrom, that's just good process. You grab a catcher, first pick in the 2020 draft. If he doesn't work out there, you move him.
Yeah.
Like they're doing.
It's interesting as far as Kurtz. You know who White Sox fans can appreciate this? The big comparisons with Kurtz is Jim Thome, former Sox, World Series guy. Mm-hmm. But that's the big thing right there. And yeah, I agree with you. Anything, it's tough with the A's because we don't know what their motivation is right now, right? Mm-hmm. They spent last year just because to get to that certain level with regard to salary. But after that, I mean, what is their real intentions? And that's what makes it hard. And it's been a frustrating year so far. We're doing okay, but there's a lot of things that I'm just shocked at. And what I would like to do when we come back is go over what your thoughts and perceptions were as far as your expectations in the offseason and have they been met? Two-part question. As far as your expectations in all off season, and where we're at right now, about 25 games into the season or so, is it what you thought with regard to the White Sox? And what can A's fans look for in Sacramento this weekend? Is there going to be any new call-ups that you expect? They've been competitive in games lately. Obviously, the White Sox, what should we look for as far as personnel compared to what we saw in the first time around?
So in terms of my expectations, yeah, they're meeting it. I expected them to lose a lot of games. I expected them to just be a little bit better than what they were from 2024. And yeah, they're 6-19, which is 3 games better than where they were last year. You know, they started the year at 3-22. So obviously they've met my expectations. In terms of what you're going to see differently, I mean, Sean Burke gave himself a stay of execution in the rotation. You know, he was struggling a lot and he's trying, he had a decent outing against Boston, ran into some trouble early in that start because of defensive gaffes. So as long as they're playing clean baseball, as long as he doesn't hang sliders over the plate, he's got a chance to be very good. The only issue is that I've heard was, they had on the television game that he took a liner off his knee against Minnesota a couple weeks back, and his stuff has never been the same since. And it's like, why then are you pitching him?
Right.
Yeah, why? He's saying that, in game, his adrenaline is pumping him up where it doesn't affect him, but it's getting his regular work in that's been a problem. So it's like, put him on the 15-day IL. His long-term health, his long-term success is much greater in the long run than this season, because this exercise is just nothing more than, hey, can you at least be a little bit better? Can you show some benchmarks and that type of stuff? In terms of call-ups, I mean, I don't see them calling up Colson Montgomery. Maybe he's been on he's their top shortstop prospect. He has been on a tear after starting off AAA just absolutely terrible, but I don't think they're going to call him up just yet. I think that could, if he continues to produce this weekend, I could see it maybe happening when they come back to Chicago and play Milwaukee, because right now Jacob Amaya has been so bad at the plate. They're using Bobby Dolbach at shortstop. Bobby Dolbach basically has played 22 career innings at shortstop for the Red Sox. That's how bad Jacob Amaya has been. So I could maybe, I just don't know if they're going to want to have him fly cross country for the weekend if he continues to produce. Otherwise, Jonathan Cannon, he's got to prove that he can actually get that third strike. Getting the first 2 strikes, that's not the problem for him. It's getting strike 3. That has been his issue the entire year. And as you were texting me, you didn't know, thinking like, what is he, Cy Young? I'm like, just wait a minute. Just give it a few minutes when you and I were you're texting me, because I'm like, he can't. Getting 0-2 is the easy part for him. It's getting strike three that's been his issue. And then Davis Martin, can he continue to have a strong start? So that's the biggest thing. And the one thing, though, A's fans can rejoice in, the White Sox bullpen has been taxed, and it's just going to get more taxed if Burke and Cannon cannot at least string 6 innings.
Benintendi's back, isn't he?
Yes, he is back.
So we didn't see him in Chicago, correct? We didn't see him the first time around?
No, I think he got a pinch hit, and that was about it.
How's he looked? How's he been?
He's actually been the White Sox most reliable hitter this season. And it looks like, I don't know if he just did not gel with Pedro Grifol or whatever, because ever since Pedro Grifol got fired, he's been a much different hitter. He's been a much different player. He looks like he's actually enjoying being in the Southside despite all the losing. He's been really engaged. He definitely had a great series in Boston, to the point where I was like, hey, Boston, if you ever want to bring him back, he's pulling the ball down the right, down the right field line. Why don't you take him? That type of stuff. So he definitely looks more engaged. He looks like a much better hitter. So I think, that's the other reason why, like, he has to hit third, because he's the most reliable hitter the White Sox have right now.
No, I hear you. So you guys have Cannon on Saturday, correct?
Correct.
And then Martin Sunday,
yep,
Burke on Friday.
Yep.
Gotcha. And we're going to go with Severino, Springs, and Badeau. I tell you what, if the difference between the A's team that's going to be in Sacramento versus the ones that was in Chicago, going the ones in Chicago, we were just coming off a 6-game homestand where we went 2-4. And all of a sudden now we're in a 3-game set against the White Sox, and we have to play with a little bit of urgency. What I'm worried about is this A's team is, and what it's always been for the last couple of years, is when things are going great, hey, celebration time, smiling, great teammates. The slightest hint of adversity, we fold up. And I think what may happen is, I doubt we're going to beat DeGrom tonight. We're taping this Thursday afternoon. I can't imagine we're going to beat DeGrom tonight the way we've looked and gone about our at-bats. And I think the White Sox are going to come to town, and I think we're going to overlook them, and they've been competing them. And if we do that the way we have looked, I wouldn't be surprised if the White Sox take 2 of 3. I really wouldn't. I really would not be surprised. And it may be the kick in the ass we need. But if the White Sox, for what I have seen, have been competitive in a lot of their games. They should have easily had a split against Boston this last weekend. And the first time they played Boston, they possibly could have swept them, I believe. And so, I think it's going to be a good competitive series. And if we don't play, we're going to get beat.
Hey, I'll take it. And I also want to know what's the weather like, because if it's over 70 degrees, Luis Robert Jr. might hit a home run, because he did hit a home run in Fenway when it was 80 degrees.
You know what? Don't start with Luis Robert. I tell you, Luis Robert, I play fantasy every single year, and every year I have about 2 teams. And every year I get Luis Robert. Late in the draft, it's always been later and later and later. And I do not quit on him, right? I play him every single. He's going to do it this day. And today, I was about to sit him. I'm going to get him. He's going to do it. 0 for 4, 3 Ks. Thanks, Luis. He drives me nuts. The problem, it's going to be nice. Well, yeah, it's not going to be nice. It's going to be nice the following 65 degrees on Friday. Wind's blowing out. Another thing for the fans to know, playing a minor league ballpark, this ball jumps. It's going to be flying out, depending on the wind direction. We'll see. But 65, 60, and 64, windy-ish.
All right, well, I mean, I'll take it. I mean, the one thing, too, with Luis Robert Jr. that I'll just tell you is he's trying to lay off the away pitches, the down and ins and the down and aways, because that's what he's been whiffing at. So what happens is he's been laying off on them, and a lot of these borderline pitches I've noticed are just hitting right on the strike zone on strike 3. That's the biggest issue that he's been having lately, is he's just letting some of these pitches where it's like, dude, you should just be fouling these pitches off and fighting them off. That's the one thing that he's not doing a great job of, I think, is fighting off pitches. Gotcha.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't fight him off this weekend, man. That's for sure. We'll see. But I don't know, man. I'm worried about this A's team. It's been rough, man. wins a lot. Like I said, we're extremely, extremely talented, but we just don't play hard. There's a lot of off-field chatter, a lot off-field attention going on. Lawrence Butler, if we could deal him tomorrow, I would. So, I mean, Lawrence Butler for Andrew Vaughn, straight up, done. So,
all right. I'll take a bag of baseballs for Andrew Vaughn at this point for sure. I'll take the clubhouse cancer.
No, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, my expectations going to the Ranger series. Let's play hard. Let's play good baseball. And they did that on the first game. They didn't do that yesterday. We'll see what happens tonight. I've been known to be wrong. We'll see what happens. But hey, Todd, always a good time, bud.
No, but hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for making Locked On A's and Locked On White Sox in this special crossover edition. Your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts.